Hi friends, this is the second video in my Hitler series. So if you haven't checked out the first one, I will really request that you do to have continuity and for you to once and for all understand what led to the rise of this man and the World War II. Now, in this video, I will tell you what was Hitler's greatest strength which led to his phenomenal rise and dramatic fall. Because I've already mentioned in my first video that he was neither that smart nor that great a speaker. Okay, now in the last video I started off where the World War I had ended and millions of youth with ex-army background were roaming the streets of Munich. Friends, bear with me, I have read hundreds upon hundreds of books over 30-year period to bring you this knowledge, so I really hope I can cover all of it in a concise manner so that you can benefit from it. Now, what happened was that since Germany was in a bad shape, okay, and suffering from the post-World War scenario and a bad economic situation, so a lot of debates were being held on the streets of Germany and on these what they called as beer halls, okay, huge halls where people drank beer, discussed politics, etc. It is in one of these such meetings that Hitler met a group of 5 people who called themselves the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany. Sorry, one second, a background noise. Okay, so Nationalist Socialist in the German words short form became Nazi. Okay, now Hitler became the leader of this party, and as Hitler put it, at that time it was not important to have the best speaker, but rather have followers who could pack a punch and pick up a fight where needed. Because two ideologies were doing the rounds. One was the nationalistic ideology, which felt that Germany had been wronged and the only way was for a national revival. The other was the communist ideology. You see, Karl Marx was a communist. So the communists had always hoped that Germany would become communist. But communism actually finally happened in Russia, which was a comparatively backward, lesser industrial state. So a lot of communists were trying to create a communist revolution in Germany. So there were major street fights between these kind of nationalists and the communists. And ultimately, it was clear that whoever dominated was going to be the one who dominated the streets and won the street fights. So also a lot of industrialists in Germany and outside Germany were extremely worried with the rise of the communists in Germany. And it is said that many of them supported such outfits like Hitler's. Hitler at the time benefited by a support of a very influential personality also. Now, in the World War I, there were two iconic German leaders who war veterans who became celebrated, all over Germany. The first name is Hindenburg, the man who stood against the Russians in the eastern sector, and his right-hand man, Ludendorff. We'll come to Hindenburg in a second, but Ludendorff, who was now not in the army anymore, gave his support. In fact, he was, for some, the leader of this movement, and it is with his support that this bag of nobodies could rise to this level. What they planned was, in 1923, something called the beer hall push. That is, they wanted to, in Munich, have some sort of a revolution and march to Berlin and all. They surrounded some leaders, okay, in a beer hall in Munich, and then they tried to bring them to their own side. This kind of failed, and it was so poorly planned that most of the leaders had escaped. So you can imagine how so-called well planned this was. And Hitler and Ludendorff and all his supporters were now probably going to be arrested. So they decided to march anyway. This is where Hitler's only quality really comes to picture. When the police opened fire, Hitler did not panic. You see, Hitler was a nobody. He had come from nothing. So he was always a gambler. Therefore, he was able to achieve a lot of heights. But when finally the gamble started backfiring, he was really went down the drain. Hitler was wounded, many of his supporters were killed, he was put in jail. But when he was put on trial, he made a long speech, which is the most famous of his speeches. The key thing was, he voiced the frustration of the common German and put it that all the problems were because of the war humiliation, the war treaty, and how Germany had been ill-treated by Britain and France, etc. Now some of you would understand that every other nationalist leader, rightly or wrongly, after Hitler has been compared, because they have always put the grievances on the other party. Hitler said that all of the problems that we are facing was because of the bad war treaty. He was put to jail, he spent some time in jail. After that also he tried to revive his nationalistic party. Okay. Ludendorff died in 1937, but Hitler carried on. He really did not achieve much success till 1929, when the Great Depression happened. When the Great Depression happened, all over the world, there was huge problems economically. Germany was having even worse of a problem because it had war debts. Now, these war debts had to be given to Britain. The Germany had to take further loans from America to return its loan commitments to Britain, and a person like Hitler was able to exploit the economic difficulties of the people and say that all of the problems are because of the unjust war treaties, and given a chance, I will rectify them. Had Hitler ever mentioned that he planned to go on war, probably German people would not have voted. Mein Kampf, his autobiography that he wrote during his jail years, did talk a lot of stuff about war, but it was self-contradictory. You see, in many times it said that Germany could get things peacefully, in many times it said it was for war, but a lot of people believed what he was talking in the election rallies. Also remember, a lot of intellectuals in Britain, France and America at that time believed that some of the German demands were justified. It is the Great Depression that led to Hitler's meteoric rise. And one more thing, equally fast rising was the Communist Party of Germany. And somewhere the big industrialists believed that it is option now between either Hitler or the communists. So a lot of them started supporting Hitler. Also, you see, in Germany, the head of the state is the president. And by the time the president was Hindenburg, recall, the decorated war hero. So they believed that they would have Hitler in check. Let him be the chancellor. Okay. Because what had happened in this last few years was many governments had been formed and then pulled down and resigned, and there had been too much instability. So Hitler was made as chancellor, thinking that Hindenburg would keep a check over any unruly elements, and there were other seasoned politicians like Papen with him who would also keep him in check. What happened was that 1933 Hitler became chancellor, and 34 Hindenburg was dead. Okay. Soon Hitler was able to sideline Papen, and within some time there were already murmurs of disquiet within his own party, some of the socialist elements. In what is called the Night of the Long Knives, he got rid of many of such opponents and was able to establish himself smartly as the undisputed leader. So as you can see, some very what you can call somehow coincidental deaths paved the way for this unlikely nobody to become the dictator of Germany. Now, before people could realize that what he had sold them was a pipe dream and none of these economic measures were going to happen, he had moved on to his conquests. And the successes that he achieved in the conquest made people think he's a great leader for that time. I will cover his conquest in the next video. Thank you. Subscribe so that you don't miss the next video. Bye.